Welcome back. My name is Candace Sanderson, and I want to share with you a very special ongoing event. On the first Saturday of each month, the Church of Spiritual Light in Fort Myers, Florida, which is about 40 minutes, well, sometimes it's 90 minutes if it's in season, north of where I live here in Naples, Florida, they offer a holistic fair. There is such a great variety of services offered, and it's a wonderful place to engage in that self-care, something that many of us maybe don't do as often as we should. We will work endlessly and diligently for others, but often we forget to take care of ourselves. Well, this is a great place to do some of that very serious self-care. At this month's holistic fair, I arrived early for my scheduled appointments. And while I waited, I sat down and, of course, I had my journal with me, and I was so glad I did because the messengers immediately came to me with a relatively long message. Now, I'm going to read this message that I received, and then we'll break it down. Sweetness and sacred stability. Bringing in all that surrounds us, then purposefully search and decipher. It need not be with the brain, but within the patterns of synchronicity. Look for the rhythm, look for the coherence, feel the ups and downs, feel the current, just as the undercurrent of the river of time can carry you to an unexpected path. You can do so with purpose. Allow your inner eyes to open. Allow your senses to expand and to blend into each other. For within this magical elixir are the answers to your soul's quest. Like Glinda's advice to Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy had the power all along. It's learning to sink deeper within your awareness to discover the path of the heart. The heart will guide you to your truth, where you will recognize the most appropriate path to maximize learning, to maximize experience, to open your sacred senses. Opening the 5D senses allows you to enter the divine pathways of the heart. Not only do you tap into your guidance system, but you also learn to sense, to track, to discover. You return to source where you had no form. As a formless entity, you know the connections, the unity. As we traverse the paths of the heart, we step into the evolutionary path of the past, of the future. It is now the present. Divine time is always present. When we move beyond the physical, our hearts sing. We join the chorus of family, of friends, of our adversaries. Yes, our adversaries, for now we understand their purpose. We know how their actions have forced us to grow, to expand. We rise above and we see the larger picture. Our perspectives change as we understand the wisdom of the heart. Peace be with you. That first sentence, sweetness and sacred stability, bringing in all that surrounds us, then purposefully search and decipher. I smiled at the alliteration, all those S's, sweetness, sacred, stability, bringing all those frequencies to us. And then it's up to us to purposefully search and decipher to make sense of it. This is a reminder that the wisdom is always around us. It is stable as well as sacred. Its sweet qualities suggest the positive and the higher vibrational frequencies that I often experience, especially where I was right there at this sacred place, Church of Spiritual Light. The purposeful search and decipher phrasing represents empowerment. We have the ability, the power to step into these sacred energies. We can then search and find more meaning if we wish, just like I'm doing right now. But we can also choose not to do so, and that can actually be just as valuable. Let's throw in some quantum mechanics that I've learned from the messengers. Once we step into the 5D, then we go beyond the 3D, whether it's by meditation, by a strong intention, an out of body experience, or even a dream. But when that happens, we move beyond that particle state and into a wave form that we see in this field of energy that surrounds us. Even if we are not lucid, such as when we're dreaming, we are still in that field state and we come back changed. Now, it's usually just a little. A JND is what we used to call this in graduate school. JND, just noticeable difference. But over time, all those JNDs can make for significant changes. Let's move on. In the next section, the messengers tell us precisely how to find that doorway to the 5D. It need not be with the brain, but within the patterns of synchronicity. Look for the rhythm, look for the coherence. Feel the ups and downs. Feel the current, just as the undercurrent of the river of time can carry you to an unexpected path. You can do so with purpose. This is great because now we're getting some specific instructions on what to do. And guess what? It's not through the brain. The messengers say to look for synchronicities, for coincidences. By now, I hope that you understand that the word coincidence does not mean that it's something haphazard and meaningless. Let's look at the root word in coincidence. It's coincide. When two angles coincide in geometry, for example, that means that they are a perfect match. They fit together, they blend, they become one. The same is true when a coincidence occurs. It is a synchronistic finding. It's a match. It's a hint for you to stop, look around, take a deep breath. It is something that your guides have told you to pay close attention to. What's going on in this event or this thought or whatever brought you those cold chills or made you realize the synchronicity of the moment? The messengers tell us how to do this by using the words like rhythm and coherence. Those are terms also used to describe frequencies and patterns. Feeling the ups and downs like a river current, but not just any river, the river of time. Their choice of words like the river of time speaks to that timeless nature that we find in the 5D world. When we expand our consciousness, our awareness into those 5D realms that surround us, we enter a dimension where time no longer exists like it does in the 3D. We can return to what we thought was the past to help the future, which very well might be what we think of right now as the present moment. The message to let the river of time carry you to an unexpected path suggests that we let go and we allow the timeless frequencies of the 5D to guide us. We don't go and actively search like chopping our way through a dense jungle to find a path. No, instead, we can allow our angels and guides to gently lead us down a path that may not have even been obvious in the dense and noisy environment of the 3D world. And as we do that with intent and purpose, we become alert. And that's when empowerment occurs. You can see that with the next sentence. Allow your inner eyes to open. Allow your senses to expand and blend into each other. For within this magical elixir are answers to your soul's quest. This also gives another hint. Synesthesia, a term that we use for the blending and the melding of senses as we know them to operate in the 3D. That's not easily done in our 3D world, but in the 5D, synesthesia is a natural state. It is when we expand and use our inner senses to guide us. The messengers call this a magical elixir, and within that elixir are answers to all of our soul's quest, our soul's mission in life. Now, if that isn't powerful, I'm not sure what is. The next sentence brings in an analogy to a movie, to a book, The Wizard of Oz. But for me, it was much more than that. Years ago, when I first met my guide, she came to me in the form of Glinda, the good witch in Frank Baum's novels. She was the most powerful sorceress in the land of Oz. So, with that background, this next paragraph had much more meaning to me than a simple reference to a classic book or movie. Like Glinda's advice to Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy had the power all along. It's learning to sink deeper within your awareness to discover the path of the heart. The heart will guide you to your truth, where you will recognize the most appropriate path to maximize learning, to maximize experience, to open your sacred senses. Again, it's the theme of empowerment. As Dorothy always had the power to return home, so do we. Home, not our 3D houses where we live, not our physical bodies that house our spirits, but our true home, home with a capital H, the place where we came from before we incarnated on this third drop from the sun, the place we will return when we drop our physical forms. The we I refer to is our spirit, our soul, our higher self. There are so many terms, but it is the non physical expression of our trueness, of who we truly are. We also receive another hint on how to do this. Learning to sink deeper into your awareness, to discover that path of the heart, and how the heart will then guide us by allowing us to open our sacred senses. Not our five physical senses, but our expanded sacred senses. For years, some messengers have spoken to me about the importance of the heart. They say the heart is a portal to the 5D, and it is through this magical organ that we can expand fuller into our true nature. Have you heard of the Heart Math Institute? If not, it's certainly worth checking it out. This institute recognizes that the brain is the organ of intelligence, but the heart is the most intelligent organ of the body. In utero, the heart cells develop first, then becoming cells for the brain. The heart guides us and, in essence, thinks before the brain does. Animals do this. They use their hearts, their gut instincts to guide them, not their brains. Squirrels don't get out their electronic planners to analyze when it's best to hide nuts for the winter. Bears don't look at their calendars to know when to hibernate. They just do it. They are guided by instinct. They don't think, they act, guided by a force that leads them by way of their hearts, not their brains. When the messengers say the heart opens our sacred senses, they are telling us to go beyond the dense five physical senses that we use in our 3D lives and to step into the surrounding field and let those senses that are richer and more powerful than our 3D senses, to guide us, to lead the way. This next paragraph reaffirms what I've just said. Let me read it. Opening the 5D senses allows you to enter the divine pathways of the heart. Not only do you tap into your guidance system, but you also learn to sense, to track, to discover. You return to source where you had no form. As a formless entity, you know the connections, the unity. It's how the 5D senses are connected to the heart and how the heart allows access to our guidance system. It also hints about what the guidance system does. It teaches us to sense, to track, to discover. We do this by returning to the formless state where we are the connections, we are the unity. Let me continue. As we traverse the paths of the heart, we step into the evolutionary path of the past, of the future. It is now the present. It took me a couple of minutes before I appreciated that one brief paragraph. Again, it is about empowerment. The messengers say we step onto that evolutionary path of the past and the future. They don't say evolution happens, but that we can step on that path purposefully. We have the power to do that, to go into the past and change the future, which is now the present. This is so very empowering, how we can revisit our past, not in just this lifetime, but lifetimes ago. And we can nudge the boundaries of our future, which is our present. Wow, how powerful is that? Let's get to the next paragraph. Divine time is always present. When we move beyond the physical, our hearts sing. We join the chorus of family, of friends, of our adversaries. They are reiterating divine time, which is always available to us. It goes back to that opening statement about the sacred stability that we can search and decipher. This divine time is always present. And when we move beyond the physical, we join the chorus of family, friends, and adversaries. Now, before I even had a chance to question that part about the adversaries, they explained, yes, our adversaries. For now, we understand their purpose. We know how their actions have forced us to grow, to expand. We rise above and we see the larger picture. Our perspectives change as we understand the wisdom of the heart. The messengers tell me that stepping into the 5D gives us a new perspective. It allows us to see how our adversaries force us out of our comfort zones and into a zone where we could, but the question is, would we learn? Do we expand? Do we glimpse into truth and wisdom? Do we rise above the 3D and see that larger perspective? The message ends with this newer perspective and how the wisdom of the heart helps us understand even the behaviors of our adversaries. And we learn how their actions, which were probably thought of as negative, were actually helping us learn, helping us grow. helping us to understand life through a different set of lenses. The message ends with this one statement: peace be with you. But this is more than just a catchy phrase. The messengers have hinted how to access this peace, how to rise above, how to reframe life. We have the tools to see things differently. We can experience the sweetness, the sacred stability of the 5D realms that lie just beyond our 3D existence. We can purposefully explore these spaces, and the messengers have given us suggestions on precisely how to do that. We learned once again of the wisdom of the heart and how that wisdom can carry us along the river of time to see the larger picture. Yes, peace is with us if we choose to see it and to use it. I want to thank you for joining me today. Remember how important kindness is. May peace follow you all the days of your life. Until next time, goodbye.